What is up? GoodMicWork commentaries back at you with episode 478. I am your host, Greg Morgan, coming at you just a little bit late this week. I was getting absolutely killed at work, and I had a feeling that it was going to be a late Thursday upload for this episode, so I sincerely apologize for that. On tap for this evening, we've got a lot to get into. As far as this past week's Raw and SmackDown live shows go, I'm just going to give a brief rundown of both of those episodes, talk about all of the major angles and the big news coming out of those shows, and give my opinions on all of that. Also going to preview this coming Monday night's big Raw 25th anniversary show, which is just looking like a ton of fun right now on paper, and also have an updated list of all of the legends set to appear on that. Big news regarding WWE's Hall of Fame as well. The 2018 headliner has been announced, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. Also, later on, we're going to talk about the very serious allegations involving Roman Reigns and a steroid distributor that's currently in jail. That was a very crazy story that surfaced a couple of days ago. I'll give the latest on that and let you guys know all of my opinions on that crazy situation. Speaking of Roman Reigns and his family, his cousin, Jey Uso, apparently got a DUI in Texas a few days ago after a live event, which completely sucks. So we'll talk about that and how that may affect the Usos' title run and push on the SmackDown roster. Also, a ton of rumors right now circulating involving Daniel Bryan. And there are a lot of rumblings about him not only, number one, competing in the Royal Rumble, but actually winning the fucking thing. How crazy would that be? In addition to that, we've got a lot of new WWE signings that have taken place over the past couple of weeks, and some really interesting names coming into the company and reporting to the Performance Center, and a couple of really interesting TNA departures as well. So we're going to get into all that and a lot more in this episode. This will be a quicker than normal episode, I promise. I'm going to try to keep this thing 30 or 40 minutes long at the most. I've got a lot going on, and it's a very busy week for me, so I got to get out of here as quickly as possible. Before we get into everything, though, I do want to give you guys a couple of quick programming notes first and let you know what you can expect from me next week. Of course, it's a very busy week heading into the Royal Rumble. We've got Raw's 25th anniversary show on Monday. It's also the Go Home Rumble Raw. The next night, we have the Go Home SmackDown. Saturday night, we have NXT TakeOver, and then, of course, Royal Rumble on Sunday. So my schedule will be as follows. This coming Monday night, immediately following Raw's 25th anniversary show, and I mean immediately, the second the show goes off the air, head over to my YouTube channel. I will be up with a live stream. We're going to shoot the shit. We're going to discuss everything that we saw on that show, all the legends, all the happenings, and all the great shit that I anticipate seeing next week on the 25th anniversary Raw, and all of the big news likely to come out of that show as well. We'll talk about all of that in a live episode on Monday night. A few days after, probably late Thursday night again, probably 1 week from right now, I'll be up here with episode 479. I'll recap Monday Night Raw, and I'll also review the Go Home SmackDown as well and give full predictions for the Royal Rumble. As of right now, I'm not scheduled to be home on Saturday for NXT TakeOver. If I can get a quick review up somehow, I will, but don't count on that. And then, of course, the Royal Rumble, I'll be home all day. I'll be live tweeting throughout the show, interacting with all of you on social media, and having a great time watching one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, the Royal Rumble. Immediately following the pay-per-view, I will also be up with a live pay-per-view review. So I'll be live Monday night after the 25th anniversary Raw, up with a regular episode on Thursday, a review of the Go Home Raw and SmackDown shows, and then full predictions of the Rumble. And then Sunday night after the Royal Rumble, a live pay-per-view review will be on the YouTube channel immediately following the Royal Rumble. So keep a lookout for all of that. So I want to start out this episode by congratulating Bill Goldberg on being the headliner for the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame. This is great news. I've been saying for months now that this year's Hall of Fame headliner is going to be one of two guys. It's either going to be Goldberg or it's going to be The Undertaker. The only disappointing thing about the Goldberg announcement is what we've all been speculating on for months, and that is if Goldberg turns out to be the headliner for the Hall of Fame, that probably means we're going to see The Undertaker wrestle again. So that's the only thing that kind of bums me out there. But as far as Goldberg goes, I'm really happy that he's going into the Hall of Fame. Goldberg was never one of my favorite guys back in WCW. His run in WWE in 2003 and 2004 was a complete mess. The big debacle with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20. And I really enjoyed his return in 2016 when he came back and he beat Brock at Survivor Series and then dropped the belt to him at WrestleMania. I thought Goldberg really righted a lot of those previous wrongs. He was able to do this for his family. That was well documented. The special that they did on the WWE Network on him, I really enjoyed, and it just made me happy for Goldberg. It was a happy ending. We don't get those very often in professional wrestling. I dare say we get more sad endings than happy endings these days, but to see Goldberg come back the way he did, have a nice send-off, I thought was perfect, and now him going into the Hall of Fame kind of puts a nice little bow on it. Now, Goldberg is not retired. He's not officially retired. I suppose he could still come in and work a match, and maybe he even works a match this year. I doubt it. But I still think Goldberg could come back and do something if he wanted to. But if this does turn out to be the end for him, then I just want to congratulate him on a hell of a career. I mean, this guy was a very, very unique character in WCW. He was very intense. He looked like $1,000,000. And even though I had my issues with Goldberg, it was probably just more my bias towards WCW because I just couldn't stand them, and I was much more a WWE guy than a WCW guy, and I just thought Stone Cold Steve Austin was better. But you can't deny how popular Goldberg became and all the great moments he had in WCW, tearing through the roster, winning the U.S. title, beating Hulk Hogan for the world title in the Georgia Dome. His amazing look, the amazing presentation, and the music, and the fireworks, and the smoke breathing, and all of that, Goldberg was the man, and I was really happy to see him come back and finish things off the way he did at age 50. It amazes me the shape that this guy was in and the level he was able to compete on. I mean, granted, his matches weren't very long, but still, he was in there doing his thing. He looked great, and I think it was good for the fans to see him come back for that last final little run there. And I'm happy to see him going into the Hall of Fame. Now, I was speculating on Twitter a couple of days ago when this news was announced. I think ESPN were the first ones to break this story, but my first question was, who's going to induct Goldberg into the Hall of Fame? A lot of names have been tossed around. I mentioned Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff, I believe, is going to be on the 25th anniversary Raw. He would seem very likely. Maybe even DDP, who Goldberg had a classic match with in WCW. Some people were throwing out names like Kevin Nash. I don't really see Kevin Nash being the guy. Some people were throwing out Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold and Goldberg have a really good relationship. They're good friends. And that would be cool to see Austin induct Goldberg, but the problem there is that was a dream match that we never got to see. And if you saw Austin inducting Goldberg, it would almost like remind the fans that we didn't get to see that, unless they did something really cool. And I pitched this on Twitter to the gentleman that suggested Steve Austin induct Goldberg. I was like, I don't know if that would really make much sense given their limited history. They never really did anything together. They had a couple of segments on Raw. Austin refereed the Goldberg-Brock match and did give Goldberg a stunner at the end of it. But beyond that, they never really crossed paths at all. So it wouldn't make sense to me for Austin to induct him. So I had suggested a fun scenario where maybe Austin inducts Goldberg into the Hall of Fame. Goldberg comes out, shakes Austin's hand, and begins to do his Hall of Fame speech. Gets through the whole thing, thanks everybody, talks about all of his great memories and moments in his life. And then at the very end of the speech, he says, "Oh yeah, one more thing. To the man that inducted me earlier on, Stone Cold Steve Austin, can you come out here for a second?" Calls out Austin. Austin kind of walks out to the stage like, "What's going on, Bill?" And Bill says, "You know what? The fans were never able to see Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bill Goldberg. And I think the fans deserve to see it. And wouldn't you know, tomorrow is WrestleMania. What do you say, Steve? Me and you, one-on-one. Goldberg, Stone Cold, WrestleMania. I challenge you right now to a match tomorrow at WrestleMania. Or 2 days from now, whenever the hell the Hall of Fame comes on. I think last year it was on a Friday. Whatever. How cool would that be? Now, they would never do that because there's no build involved. And if you're gonna make an epic match like this, Goldberg versus Austin, probably, arguably, the biggest dream match since Rock and Hogan. If you were going to do that, you want to build this thing, you want to promote it, you want to advertise the hell out of it and do segments on Monday Night Raw. So there's no way that would happen, but it was a funny little dream scenario that I had in my head that if Austin actually did induct Goldberg, it would be really cool if one of them challenged the other. But we're not going to see a match of that caliber announced one day before the show. But it was still a fun little idea that I had. But speaking of guys not having that much history with Goldberg and inducting him anyway, guess who the rumored guy to induct Goldberg is, according to the websites right now? Paul Heyman. That blows my mind. I think Paul Heyman would do an excellent job. Paul Heyman is the man. Any sort of tribute he wants to make to Goldberg, anything he wants to say on the mic to put him over and induct him into the Hall of Fame is probably going to be better than what anybody else can do. But given these guys' history, why? Brock was another name that I mentioned. I thought Brock would kind of be cool. I think Brock would be a very fitting inductor for Goldberg. It would just be fun to see Brock do that. After the program and the feud that they had last year and their parallel careers kind of thing, I think Brock would have been a really fun inductor for Goldberg. But apparently right now, word on the street, according to Meltzer and a couple of other websites, it's going to be Paul Heyman. So I don't know what sense that makes, especially if everybody's going to be in town. You know, guys like Bischoff and guys like, you know, DDP, like I mentioned. Maybe even Hogan could be a guy to induct him. I don't know. It seems like there would be a lot of access to other guys that have had more history with Goldberg than Paul Heyman, but you know, at the end of the day, that's not something I'm really going to complain about. So if Heyman is inducting Bill Goldberg into the Hall of Fame, I say great. I'm sure Heyman will do a good job. So congratulations to Goldberg. You guys let me know what you think about the Goldberg announcement. Any other candidates you have for this year's Hall of Fame? I would love to see Christian go in. I would love to see Rick Martel. Bam Bam Bigelow is another name that comes to mind. There's a lot of guys that I'm hoping to see make it in to this year's Hall of Fame. So I'm looking forward to it. Right now, Goldberg is a pretty solid headliner, and hopefully this year's class will be pretty awesome. So now that I got Goldberg's announcement out of the way, why don't we jump into Monday Night Raw? I wasn't home to see this show live. I had to catch the replay later on, but I was cracking up looking at my phone, checking Twitter, and all of the updates that you guys were sending me about what Braun Strowman was doing. I could not wait to get home and watch this shit. So the show opens up with Kurt Angle in the ring with Braun Strowman, and because of what Braun Strowman did the week before by pulling down the Raw set on top of Brock Lesnar and Kane, Kurt Angle fired Braun Strowman, fired him right there in the middle of the ring, and had security escort him out. So the cameras are following Strowman as he's being escorted out of the building. They get him all the way to the back door, and as soon as he gets to the door, he stops and then proceeds to go completely ape shit. Ape fucking shit. Annihilates every security guard, kicks all of their asses, goes into Kurt Angle's office and destroys his office, slamming chairs against the wall and breaking TVs and the whole deal, runs into Kurt Hawkins and catering, beats the shit out of him. As he's leaving the catering area, there's a guy there holding a tray of chocolate cake, and Strowman just grabs a piece and eats it and walks off. That was fucking hilarious. He terrorizes the production truck, storms in there, starts pushing buttons, fucking everything up. When he finally leaves the production truck, he goes outside and gets behind the wheel of the tractor part of it, pulls that away, and then tips over the whole truck. So he's already tipped over an ambulance, and they did kind of the similar thing here. I don't know how they do this, if they hollow the whole thing out and it's just the frame, or if it's attached to cables on the other side and they're pulling it as Braun's lifting it up. I don't know. But by this time, Kurt Angle is out there and some referees, and they're screaming, "What are you doing, Braun? What are you doing, Braun?" And he just picks up the whole damn truck and tips the whole damn thing over. And he's not done yet. He would then go out to the stage and go to the commentary table and grab Michael Cole and pick him up and throw him off the stage into a whole bunch of people, and they catch him and the whole deal. So Braun is completely destroying Monday Night Raw. Stephanie winds up calling Kurt Angle on the phone and says, "Rehire this fucker back." So before Braun does any more damage, Kurt Angle comes out with a microphone and says, "Look, you've got your job back, okay? You're not fired. Please put Michael Cole down." And then as soon as he said that, that's when he tossed poor Cole off the stage there, which was great because at least we got Cole off the show, and he was replaced by Tom Phillips for the duration of the show. But everything that Braun Strowman did on Monday Night Raw, I was loving. This is why we all love Braun Strowman, because he's such an awesome character. I mean, he's fucking great. I mean, he's so crazy, he's so badass, he's so ridiculously powerful, and whenever he goes on rampages like this, they are so fun to watch. And Braun is also a little bit funny, you know, when he picked up the cake and took a bite, and he's had other similar things like that before when he's in the middle of a really crazy angle and then he'll do or say something really funny. Braun is just the fucking man. I would love for this guy to be Universal Champion one day. But despite everything that Braun Strowman did, I still have the same opinion as I did last week, after they did the great spot with Strowman pulling down the set on top of Brock and Kane. As good as that segment was, and as fun as that was to watch, to me it adds nothing to their match. And everything that Braun Strowman did on Monday Night Raw, tipping over the truck and going crazy and everything, was great to see, and it was a lot of fun, but it still adds absolutely zero interest for me to the triple threat match at the Royal Rumble between Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and Kane. This is a match that I have absolutely zero interest in, and I hate that the WWE is booking this, but at least in the meantime, Braun Strowman is doing some awesome shit. So I'll get into my full Royal Rumble predictions and everything next week, but right now I am not expecting any sort of title change in this match. I would assume that Brock Lesnar is going to find a way to escape this match with the belt. To me, it wouldn't make any sense to take the belt off of Brock Lesnar before WrestleMania at this point. It's already been nearly a full year, and for him to drop it to Kane or Strowman in a triple threat, I really don't see that happening at all. So hopefully the match itself will be good. Brock Lesnar can perform in triple threat matches. He's proven that before. But right now, you know, Kane and Strowman and Brock, I don't know. The build-up has been pretty fun, but the match itself, I think, is not going to look very good come the Royal Rumble. Probably the biggest news to come out of Monday Night Raw, and the one that got the most attention on social media, was the return of the Curb Stomp. Holy shit, the Curb Stomp is back. Seth Rollins took on Finn Balor in the main event of Monday Night Raw. Now, earlier on, Jason Jordan kind of like volunteered Seth Rollins to face Finn Balor in a backstage segment with his father, Kurt Angle, and says, my partner is really upset about losing last week and he wants to redeem himself, so I think you should book him in a match with Finn Balor later on. And Kurt Angle goes, okay, fine, no big deal. And Seth takes a little bit of an exception to that, says, I don't have any problem with facing Finn Balor, but Jordan, you gotta you got to step back. You got to know your role. You got to check yourself. So it's more of the same there with Jason Jordan. He's just too stupid for his own good. I mentioned that last week, that the clueless, kind of dumbass, cocky, in his own universe Jason Jordan is a character that I can actually get behind. I can actually get behind this direction with Jason Jordan, because the guy is so bad and so lame and so white meat on the mic that he needs this type of personality. This is perfect for him. He's this weird combination of, meaning well, like he means well, but at the same time, he's incredibly self-centered. And he's displaying a lot of immaturity and ignorance and flat-out cluelessness, and I kind of like that. So I'm not nearly as disgusted with Jason Jordan as I was, maybe a few weeks ago. At least this is starting to get a little bit good here, and all of the dumbass things that he's doing, annoying Seth Rollins, that's going to eventually have to lead to some sort of a match in the future, and I think it's still very much up in the air as to what they do at WrestleMania, whether it's Jason Jordan versus Seth Rollins, or whether it's Jordan versus Kurt Angle, or whatever. There's still a lot of TV to go before we get to WrestleMania, so I'd be open to hear any of your suggestions on what to do with those guys come WrestleMania time. But as far as the main event with Finn Balor goes, this was a rematch from SummerSlam a couple of years ago, the first ever Universal title match that Finn Balor won and then ended up getting injured and having to forfeit the title. The two of them had a pretty good match out there. Sheamus and Cesaro are also at ringside for this, along with Jason Jordan. Cesaro and Sheamus actually lost earlier on in the night to Titus and Apollo, which was kind of crazy. So they're out there, and Jason Jordan is out there. Eventually, Jason Jordan trips Finn Balor, and Finn Balor is kind of on all fours after being tripped. Seth looks around, hits the ropes, jumps up in the air, and bam! Out of nowhere, curb stomp. And the fans were like, holy shit. By that point, I was actually home. I saw that live. I was able to catch like the last 30 minutes of Raw, so I saw the entire main event. And when Seth hit that curb stomp, and Finn Balor, by the way, sold it beautifully. That was one hell of a way to bring that move back into Seth Rollins' arsenal, is to hit it on a guy that can sell the shit out of it like Finn Balor did. And Balor just got bashed right in the head, took a sick bump with that curb stomp, and I think they were calling it something else. I don't even think they're calling it the curb stomp anymore, but I don't care. I mean, I'm just glad the move is back. Seth has really struggled to find his niche with a finisher. He tried the pedigree for a while, which I hated, and then the most recent knee to the face finisher that he did that just wasn't working out. It was an okay finisher, but it was nothing like the curb stomp. So I don't know why or how WWE allowed Seth to do this move again. I'm glad that the curb stomp is back. I don't think it should have been banned to begin with. I thought that was really stupid. If done right, it's a perfectly safe move. I think the Styles Clash is much more dangerous than the curb stomp. So I'm glad WWE has finally come to their senses, and they have trusted Seth Rollins to deliver this move safely to his opponents, and Finn Balor took a hell of a shot there. And the ending was really odd and awkward. I thought maybe they forgot something. There was even a really funny, I think, 3 count in that match, wasn't there? Where the referee appeared to have counted 3, but he didn't or something. It just seemed a little bit off for some reason. So at the end of the match, after Seth Rollins wins, Balor is in the ring with Gallows and Anderson, and they're kind of helping him, and he's all dazed. There's no music. And the funny thing is the way the whole thing was being played up, I was thinking that Gallows and Anderson were going to turn on Finn Balor. I'm like, oh shit, please don't break these guys up already. You just put them together. But the way there was all that silence and they were kind of slowly helping Finn Balor to his feet, I was just waiting for one of those guys to clothesline poor Finn Balor. So the only thing I can think of is that was WWE's way of really selling the curb stomp. I mean, Finn Balor looked completely out of it. His eyes were glazed over. Maybe they're trying to sell the fact that he was legitimately knocked out and he was disoriented, didn't know where he was, or whatever. But the ending of Raw just felt odd. It's not how most shows end. I thought in the match maybe they went home a little bit too early and they had like 2 minutes left, and this was just WWE killing time by having the camera focused on Finn Balor and Gallows and Anderson. I didn't know what the hell was going on there. But either way, at the end of the day, I am so happy the Curb Stomp is back. Hopefully it's back to stay. Like I said, I don't know. I think they're changing the name. I forgot what they called it. Maybe the Blackout. Am I right about that? Weren't they calling it something else? So it might have to have undergo a name change or whatever, but that's fine. I can live with that. To me, that's a nice compromise. I really don't know what's wrong with the finisher name Curb Stomp, but if WWE insists on changing it, fine, fucking change it. I don't care. Just let Seth do the damn thing. So welcome back, Curb Stomp. It sure was good to see you. And did you guys see what Seth Rollins tweeted out after Monday Night Raw? He just tweeted, I think, a video of him doing it, and all he said was, "Welcome back, old friend." I really like that tweet. So really happy that the Curb Stomp has returned. The other big angle on Monday Night Raw was Roman Reigns and The Miz. The Miz is in the ring cutting a promo with the Miztourage. They were introduced by Elias, who came out and sang a song as well. Roman Reigns ends up coming down and taking on the Miztourage in a handicap match. Bo Dallas and Kurt Axel winds up spearing Axel and getting the 3 count while he looks back at the Miz, who's standing up on the stage. And they're set to clash next week on the 25th anniversary show for the Intercontinental title. Now, the Roman Reigns situation is a little bit weird. There was the story that came out this week. There was an interview done by a gentleman, I forget his name now. He's in jail right now in Florida somewhere. And he was a steroid distributor, and he named Roman Reigns, among some other people, as one of his clients. Mark Wahlberg was another name, I believe, a celebrity, and there were some others. There is a full interview available on YouTube. I did check out a little bit of that, and Roman Reigns was one of the first names that he mentioned in that. So keep in mind, these are all allegations. Keep in mind, there is no proof whatsoever of any of this. However, why would this guy name Roman Reigns in this whole deal? Why would he just randomly name somebody if they didn't have anything to do with it? It would seem foolish just to throw a stranger under the bus for no reason. So if he named Roman Reigns, there must be a reason for it. This could potentially be very serious. It's horrible timing, given the fact that Roman Reigns is such a prominent roster member and he's slated to go into WrestleMania seemingly to take on Brock Lesnar for the title. WWE is building their entire company around this guy, and he's about to headline his 4th straight WrestleMania. If this were to come out and this were to be, verified, and this is true, this is going to be a huge blow to WWE, and I hope that they can't prove anything here. The only statements that have been made were by Roman Reigns, I believe. He came out and said, "I made a mistake back in 2015 or whenever it was, and I paid my price, and I got suspended, and I've passed every test since then." I'm guessing now that maybe that wellness policy violation was because of a banned substance. There was some rumors that it was just Adderall or something like that, but maybe this is steroid related. I don't know. I think if Roman Reigns was on steroids, the WWE wellness policy would pick it up. You definitely can't accuse WWE of protecting Roman Reigns because they suspended him right in the middle of a title run. Right after he beat Triple H at WrestleMania, he was world champion when he failed that test, and they took the belt off of him immediately and suspended him. And he hasn't been world champion since then. So I definitely don't think WWE is going to sweep this under the rug. If this is for real and this is serious, they will take action. But the matter of proof is a big deal here. How can you prove any of this? If you can't prove it, WWE will probably try to do their best to ignore it in every way possible. And hopefully this will not turn into a bigger problem than what it is. I also don't know when these allegations were from. I don't know if this was years ago. Maybe this is 2011 or 12 or 13 or 14. I don't know what year Roman Reigns allegedly received steroids from this guy. This might have been something that took place years ago, which doesn't make it any less wrong. But if it was a long time ago, hopefully it won't have too much effect on what Roman Reigns is doing presently in WWE. But if any of this turns out to be true and this story gets bigger and Roman is implicated any further than this, it is really going to put WWE in a tight spot, especially right now, WrestleMania time. It's not like this is the middle of the summer and they can just suspend Roman or, let the whole thing blow over or whatever. They have huge plans for Roman Reigns. I mean, huge plans. I personally do not believe that Roman Reigns is a steroid user. If he did something years ago, that's very possible. I'm not going to say it's not. But as far as what he's doing currently in WWE, he's being tested. He's already failed one wellness policy violation, and he's probably not going to do it again, especially given his status in the company. But if this is something that took place a few years back and it's coming back to bite him in the ass now, it could have a drastic effect, not only on his career, but WWE's plans for their long-term future as well, because he's been selected, handpicked, as the next guy to carry the torch after John Cena. So I know a lot of Roman Reigns haters might be loving this story right now because maybe they think it's going to affect Roman Reigns' spot on the roster, and it very well may if any of this turns out to be true. But keep in mind right now, these are all rumors. These are just allegations, and Roman Reigns is totally innocent until proven guilty. But it was a very interesting story and kind of a scary one if you're somebody that actually cares about WWE's long-term plans and future. So I'm sure there are some people in WWE right now that are a little bit nervous about this Roman Reigns situation, and I ain't gonna lie, I am too. Those were pretty much the main stories coming out of Monday Night Raw. I'll briefly run through the rest of the card here. We had a match between Nia Jax and Asuka, which was interesting. I'm surprised they did this already. Nia Jax, of course, attacked Asuka last week on Monday Night Raw. And this is a match that I believe was an NXT TakeOver match or at some point. I know they faced each other in NXT. I don't remember if it was TakeOver or maybe just one of their regular weekly shows. But they had a little bit of a program in NXT. And if Nia Jax is being billed as this monster, a future opponent for Asuka, the timing of this match seemed a little bit odd to me. I'm surprised they did this on Monday Night Raw instead of saving it for a pay-per-view or maybe a confrontation in the Royal Rumble or something like that. But they didn't do a finish, luckily. I didn't think that they would. They did a spot on the outside of the ring where Asuka kicked Nia Jax's leg when she was standing on the ring steps, and she fell straight down and wedged her leg in between the steps and the ring post and injured her leg, quote unquote. And the referee stopped the match because Nia Jax couldn't continue. So Asuka's undefeated streak remains intact. And Nia Jax, I guess now, is storyline injured. Don't know if she'll be back to normal next week or if they'll keep her off TV for a week and have her return at the Rumble. I don't know what the deal is there. If she is going to be on the shelf in storyline, though, this leaves Alexa Bliss in a tight spot without any backup, having to face Asuka. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there. The Revival ended up beating a couple of jobbers and then did a promo with, was it Renee Young or was it Charlie Caruso? I forgot who they were in the ring with. I think it was Charlie, but they cut a promo and started running down a bunch of legends. Talked about what great wrestlers they are, even said that they are not sports entertainers, that they are professional wrestlers, which I really liked. But they started running down a lot of legends, name-dropping Stone Cold and D-Generation X, and insulting a lot of the stars from the Attitude Era, which got me thinking immediately that next week on the 25th anniversary Raw, they're going to get their asses kicked by a bunch of legends. I can almost guarantee it. I wouldn't be surprised if the APA comes out or the New Age Outlaws or a team like that and beats the fuck out of them. We also had a cruiserweight match. Cedric Alexander defeated Tony Nese. Goldust was in Cedric's corner and Enzo was in Tony Nese's corner. Sasha took on Sonya Deville in a one-on-one match. Now, Sonya came out with Absolution, and Paige was with them. Paige's music was playing. She came down to the ring with them and was at ringside, and WWE even acknowledged her injury. They said Paige has suffered a neck injury, and she will not be able to compete in the Royal Rumble. And that's kind of promising. They didn't say anything about her retiring or her career being over or anything like that. They just said that she's currently injured and she's going to miss her opportunity to be involved in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. So maybe, just maybe, the door is not completely shut on Paige's career. I mean, she was still out there doing her thing, playing her role. Sonya, by the way, did defeat Sasha Banks in that match, but the whole time Paige was out there doing her thing as if nothing was wrong. So to me, that's kind of promising. I don't know if WWE is going to wait a little bit and then announce Paige's retirement. I did a whole video on this when the story broke of her career potentially being over, and my heart absolutely broke for her, especially since she's just gotten back into the company and she's only 25 years old. She's got her whole life ahead of her. I was really bummed out to see this young, talented wrestler's career come to an end. Absolutely heartbroken. So they have not suggested Paige make a retirement speech or anything like that. All they're saying is that she's injured and she's not cleared to wrestle in the Royal Rumble. That's it. Which is really nothing different than what we've been hearing. Ever since her injury, she has not been cleared to wrestle. And so far, that's all WWE has said publicly. All of these rumors of her career being over was only what the websites were reporting. Now, Paige did make some social media posts about this. I think she put something up on Instagram acknowledging the neck injury, but really nothing is totally confirmed as of yet. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that maybe Paige's career in the ring is not completely over with yet, and WWE is kind of maybe doing a wait and see type of thing. I had mentioned in my Paige video that if she did wind up retiring, maybe she can stay on as an on-air role, maybe as a manager to Absolution, maybe even as a female commentator behind the commentary table. I think that would be good for Paige. Anything that they can do to keep her on as an on-air personality, I think would be good, because Paige does have a lot of talent. She does have a lot to offer. So let's hope as the weeks and months go by here that maybe the news gets better for Paige. And right now I'm holding out a glimmer of hope that maybe her career is not actually done after all. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Aside from that, the only other match that took place on Monday Night Raw was Matt Hardy defeating Heath Slater in a squash match. And Matt Hardy is still working hard to get everything over and get that character over with the WWE audience. And so far, it's just a little bit lukewarm right now. Not bad, but definitely not great by any stretch of the imagination yet. So that pretty much is your Raw in a nutshell. Like I said, this coming Monday night, Raw's big 25th anniversary show from the Barclays Center and the Manhattan Center. We do know we have a big Intercontinental title match scheduled for that show. Roman Reigns defending the belt against The Miz. And we have got a shit ton of legends set to appear on the show. Of course, the biggest name is The Undertaker. A lot of speculation as to what The Undertaker is going to do. At WrestleMania, rumors are that he's going to be facing John Cena. WWE is going to do the match that they were trying to do a couple of years ago. I still think this is a huge mistake. I don't want The Undertaker to wrestle again. I think he should stay retired. Although, if anything turns out to be true in the Roman Reigns situation, if this story gets any bigger or any more inflated or any sort of proof or verification that Roman Reigns did receive steroids from this guy, if any of that happens in the future, then maybe Undertaker coming back is actually a good thing. Him wrapping up his career against somebody that doesn't have these issues. John Cena is squeaky clean, straight as a grizzly's dick. He might be the better guy for The Undertaker to end his career with, especially if Roman Reigns has got some controversy surrounding his name. The Undertaker doesn't want to look back at his career and say, damn, after all the years I worked, 30 years in the ring, that's the guy I lost to. And I'm not trying to throw Roman Reigns under the bus. I hope he's totally innocent here, and I hope this whole thing just blows over and we all forget about it, because I do not want this story to get bigger. I think this could be a disaster for WWE if it did. So I certainly don't want any bad press for Roman Reigns there. But if he winds up getting it, you know, The Undertaker having his final match against somebody else might turn out to be a good thing. So maybe that's the one positive in all of this. If The Undertaker comes back, maybe it's just to help him have a retirement match against somebody that's a little bit more, you know, clean and respected. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm just still incredibly uncomfortable with the idea of him wrestling again after last year, after the main event. WWE gave you the main event. They had 2 world title matches on that show. If you weren't going to retire, then Goldberg and Brock needed to main event that thing, or a title match needed to. And now that The Undertaker is coming back again, if this is truly going to be his final match, what happens now? Does Taker and Cena main event this WrestleMania as well? Are we going to go 2 straight WrestleManias without having a world title match main event this thing? I don't know if I can see that happening. And I also don't know how The Undertaker is going to explain it. I mean, from what we saw last year, he retired. He walked away. He took his hat, his jacket off, folded it up, left it in the middle of the ring. What is his explanation for showing up on Raw? What is his explanation for wrestling again? Unless he's just in the ring cutting a promo when John Cena comes out and challenges him, and they make it look like The Undertaker was forced to come out of retirement because of the challenge or something like that. I just don't know. You know, I don't know what kind of reasoning they're going to have for bringing The Undertaker back, especially when he left the way he did last year at WrestleMania. So next week on Raw should be really, really, really interesting, and I can't wait to see what The Undertaker has to say. Speaking of the legends appearing on Monday Night Raw, let me give you the latest list of names advertised for the 25th anniversary Raw. As of right now, we currently have Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, of course, D-Generation X, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, the Dudley Boys, Ric Flair, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, although I don't believe Kevin Nash is going to make the show. Apparently he had some knee surgery and he's not going to be at the Raw 25th anniversary show, which sucks. We also have Eric Bischoff, the New Age Outlaws, Chris Jericho was another recent name. That's awesome, especially right off the heels of his Wrestle Kingdom match. That's pretty cool. JBL and Ron Simmons, the APA, The Godfather, Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, of course, The Boogeyman, Teddy Long, The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, John Laurinaitis, Sergeant Slaughter, The Bella Twins, Jacqueline, Terry Runnels, Tori Wilson, Maria Kanellis, Michelle McCool, and Kelly Kelly. That is the current list of names that I see. No Bret Hart on this, unfortunately. We're not going to see Bret, which kind of sucks. It doesn't look like we're going to see The Rock either, unless he's some sort of a surprise. That would be really cool. But I would imagine it's going to be a pretty cool night to be backstage on Monday Night Raw. Should be a lot of fun, and really curious what they're going to do at the Manhattan Center. That's going to be awesome. Let's move on to SmackDown Live now. Then I'll mention some other WWE news, and I got to get out of here. SmackDown is going to be really easy to run through because there was only 4 matches on this thing. They hot-shotted the entire United States title tournament. We were supposed to have the 2 semifinal matches on SmackDown, and then the finals were going to take place next week, I believe. But instead, they did it all on this week's SmackDown. So you had your 2 semifinal matches. We had Jinder Mahal beating Xavier Woods, and then you also had Bobby Roode defeating Mojo Rawley. After Roode wins this match, he's then attacked by the Singh brothers, seemingly to soften Roode up for next week for his finals match against Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal comes out to the stage and cuts a promo on Bobby Roode, and then Bobby Roode grabs the mic and says, all right, if you want a piece of me, why don't we do it right now? And challenges Jinder Mahal to the United States title match right there on SmackDown. And Jinder Mahal, of course, says no, and he backpedals. We do it on my time, and we do it when I say. And then he turns around to see Daniel Bryan standing right there. And Daniel Bryan says, absolutely, why don't we do it right now? Sends Jinder Mahal into the ring to face Bobby Roode, and Bobby Roode beats him. Hits him with the glorious DDT, won both of his matches with the DDT, actually, and pins Jinder Mahal to win the United States title. So there you go. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon were both at ringside for this. They congratulate Bobby Roode. They raise his hand in the ring, and he holds up the belt and the whole deal. And my question is, why rush this? They must have something that they want to do. Because for them to rush this when they could easily promote this title match for next week to help, get the ratings up or whatever, not that it would be that big a deal just for a U.S. title match, but at least if you're promoting this thing and the fans know next week on SmackDown they're going to see a new champion crowned, I thought would make the most sense. Nobody was expecting to see a new champion crowned this week on SmackDown, so why they rushed this, I have no idea. This makes me think that maybe Dolph Ziggler is coming back next week or maybe at the Royal Rumble and they wanted to have the new champion already in place by then. I don't know. But to me, it seems like WWE has changed their mind about something, and that's why they wrote this storyline to have the title match take place on SmackDown. That way it fits in with whatever the hell they have planned. I have no idea. But for the time being, I guess, congratulations to Bobby Roode, who technically is the new United States champion, but there's been a lot of rumors that when Dolph Ziggler comes back, he's going to be the rightful champion because he never lost the belt. And there's been a lot of rumors about the ladder match idea, like Shawn and Razor did back at WrestleMania 10. But if they did that, I don't want to complain about a Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler match, but we already saw this. Dolph Ziggler was the first guy they threw in front of Bobby Roode when he came onto the main roster. So it's a feud that we've already seen, and does this feud really warrant a WrestleMania match? Does Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode really deserve a match at WrestleMania, considering that they were working a lot together just a few months ago? So my only hope is that with WWE rushing the United States title match, maybe this just ties into something a little bit bigger and a lot better, and it's going to turn out to be really good whenever Dolph Ziggler comes back and how he comes back. Wouldn't be surprised at all if he turns out to be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble or something like that, but clearly WWE has something up their sleeve here. Otherwise, them rushing the U.S. title match makes no sense whatsoever. Aside from that, all we saw on SmackDown was another 6-woman tag, which we've seen like every single week on SmackDown ever since the Riot Squad made their debut, so nothing at all noteworthy coming out of that. And the Usos did a backstage segment and an interview, I believe, with Renee Young, and they were jumped from behind by the recently turned heel Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. And I mentioned Jey Uso earlier on. Apparently, I think last Friday or last Thursday or something like that, he was pulled over and got a DUI after a WWE show somewhere in Texas. So this really sucks, because the Usos are like my favorite team in WWE. I think they are so fucking great, and I do not want them to lose the belts, and I would hate for Jimmy to be punished for something that his brother did, so I would hate to see the Usos' title run come to an end because of this, but there might need to be some disciplinary action taken against Jey Uso. I don't know what WWE, their policy on this sort of thing is. Jey Uso's probably going to have to go to court, and he's either going to be convicted of this or he's not. Maybe WWE is waiting to see how all of that plays out legally before they take any action here. I don't know, but you hate to hear about stories like this, especially with a talent that is so valuable to WWE and somebody that I really enjoy watching. I absolutely love the Usos. So if they drop the belts at the Royal Rumble, I guess that's your answer, that the Usos are being punished for that DUI. That kind of sucks. I told you that was going to be a quick SmackDown review. Really not much to talk about on that show at all other than Bobby Roode winning the United States title. But I do want to mention Daniel Bryan real quick, because rumors are everywhere all over the internet right now that Daniel Bryan is all of a sudden the favorite. Yes, the favorite to win the Royal Rumble as far as like Vegas betting odds and shit goes. All of a sudden, overnight, he emerged as the favorite to win the match. And I'm floored by that, because we've all been speculating that Daniel Bryan is probably going to get back in the ring, probably going to have a match with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, or maybe a tag team match or something like that. All signs are pointing to Daniel Bryan getting back in the ring. So we're all slowly coming to grips with that. To me, that seems like it's becoming more and more of a reality with each passing day. But I did not expect to hear that Daniel Bryan could actually enter the Royal Rumble and even win the thing, which to me would be so fitting, because where is the Royal Rumble? It's in Philly. And we remember what happened last time the Royal Rumble was in Philly. Daniel Bryan, the one guy everybody wanted to see win it because he wasn't even in it in 2014 and the fans lost their shit. WWE, it looked like they were going to redeem themselves the following year. Instead, Daniel Bryan comes in at like number 9 or 10 or whatever number he was, hung out in the ring for like 5 or 10 minutes and got eliminated. And that was it. I mean, the fans lost their shit. And then poor Roman was screwed because after that happened, he goes on to win the match and the fans didn't care at all. They were so pissed off that not even The Rock could get this guy cheered. So what a story it would be if the Royal Rumble comes back to Philadelphia, Daniel Bryan shows up as a surprise entrant and wins the Royal Rumble. Total redemption. All the hell that poor Philly crowd went through in 2015. You talk about redemption. Holy shit. Daniel Bryan winning the Royal Rumble out of nowhere. Can you imagine that? And what would that mean for his current storyline? What would that mean for his position as general manager on SmackDown? Is his match with Shane McMahon out the window? It is if he wins it, because if he wins, then he's going to go into WrestleMania to face AJ Styles. I can't see Daniel Bryan challenging Brock or anything like that. If Daniel Bryan wins the Rumble, you would have to think he's going to challenge AJ. And as much as I want to see Shinsuke Nakamura win the Royal Rumble so he can face AJ Styles one-on-one for the title at WrestleMania, what I might like even more than that is Daniel Bryan and AJ. You talk about a dream match. Holy shit. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles under a WWE umbrella in a WWE ring at WrestleMania for a WWE championship, like the World Championship. Holy shit. So I am really excited about this potential rumor, and I really hope that it's true. Don't take my word for it. There might not be any truth to this at all, but I've been reading the same shit that all of you guys are reading, and it definitely is an interesting story. So it's been a really interesting week of wrestling news. Some really strange and bizarre stories floating around right now. Also, for those of you asking, I have not checked out any of the Mixed Match Challenge tournament matches yet. I know they've had a couple of first-round matches already take place. I've seen a couple of clips, but haven't seen any matches straight through, but I'll try to take a look at that a little bit more closely this week. Before I get out of here, I do want to mention just a couple of other WWE-related news, and they apparently have signed a lot of new talent recently. One of those names is Ricochet, and a lot of us were speculating that Ricochet could, surface in WWE at some point. He is there now, and I guess he's set to report to the Performance Center any day, and I guess we'll be seeing him on NXT here in the very near future. Also, Candice LeRae got signed to a deal, which is great. I love her. She was in the women's tournament as well. Who's she married to? Is she's married to Gargano or Ciampa? I think she's married to Johnny Gargano, and she's a cute little thing, and she can work, and I like her, and I'm really happy that WWE signed her. Also, War Machine, tag team from Ring of Honor and New Japan, they have also been signed. That will be interesting to have them on the same roster as Authors of Pain and Sanity and all of that, and they might be bringing in War Machine if Authors of Pain are going to move to the main roster. So the tag team scene across WWE looks pretty good right now, even though the divisions don't seem like there's a lot going on. The actual teams that they have in the company across all three brands are pretty decent. Really not a whole lot to complain about there as far as the tag team scene goes in WWE. And speaking of WWE and future guys joining the company, we had a couple of TNA departures over the weekend, I believe at the last set of TNA tapings. Bobby Lashley and EC3 are both gone from the company. And Ethan Carter is a guy that has been rumored to come back to the WWE for quite some time. He had that short stint there in NXT a while back. He could be a really good guy to show up in the Royal Rumble. I think as long as enough fans know who he is, I think that they would, where he'd get a big enough reaction. And plus, he's a good type of character that I think could do well in WWE. I just see him involved somehow with The Miz. He seems like he'd be a perfect Miz-Taraj type guy, or a character like The Miz, maybe even feuding with The Miz or something like that. Just a really kind of obnoxious, cocky, douchey type of heel. That type of character has been a huge success for The Miz in WWE, and I think Ethan Carter could do something similar. And to see Bobby Lashley come in, that would be a lot of fun too. He hasn't been there in 10 years. It's been over 10 years since Lashley has been in the company, I think. So if he comes back in, he's a guy that I think a lot of fans would recognize. Remember, he was involved in that big hair versus hair match, Trump versus McMahon at WrestleMania against Umaga and all of that. So having Lashley come back in, I think could be a lot of fun too. So keep an eye out for both of those guys showing up in the Royal Rumble. Aside from that, I don't really have any other notes written down. I need to go ahead and get out of here. The only thing I have written down that I'm laughing at is I guess Spike TV is going out of business or whatever. They've been bought out or whatever. Whoever handles their Twitter account went completely out of their minds on Twitter a couple of days ago, tweeting out all sorts of crazy shit and stories and just exposing the company. Very, very disgruntled person, whoever runs this account, and I thought it was great. It was so entertaining watching this Twitter account go absolutely apeshit a couple of days ago, and that was really, really fun to watch. So if none of you have checked out Spike TV's Twitter account lately, hopefully those tweets are all still up. If they are, take a look at them. You will get a good laugh. I have got to get out of here. I got so much to do this week. Like I said, don't forget, tune in to my YouTube channel this Monday, immediately following Raw's 25th anniversary show, and I will be up here doing a live stream. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your week and weekend, and I will talk to you this coming Monday night. Until next time, peace.